Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 21st day of March in the year 2021. Sure hope you're enjoying your Monday no matter where it is you are in the country. Beautiful, beautiful spring day here in the Northeast. Hope you're enjoying your day no matter where it is you are. And as you do every single Monday, you allow me into your homes so that I might bring you this week's news. And we're going to take things a little bit out of order today. On the bottom of page 1, the headline, Harrison mourns the loss of firefighter Vinny Delfont. Vincent Delfont was 37 years old, member of the Harrison Fire Department for a couple of years, and sadly he died over the weekend after a training exercise with the Harrison Fire Department. And our retired sports writer Jim Haig knew Vinny very well, and he wrote a very stirring tribute to Vinny, who lost his life at a way too young age at 37. Before he was a firefighter for the Harrison Fire Department, he was also a police officer for the Harrison Police Department. So he was involved in things in Harrison and also his hometown of North Arlington. He leaves behind a wife and 2 young children, just a tragic loss. And it's another sad time for the town of Harrison. It's the 3rd civil servant to die within the last few months. You will recall that 2 police officers died in a couple of months ago. There were terrible, terrible stories that keep coming. So just a shame, a tragic loss for the Harrison Fire Department. Vincent Delfont, Jr., has died at the age of 37. And we thank our retired friend Jim Haig for putting together a beautiful tribute to Vinny. So you'll find that on the bottom of page number 1. I hope you'll take a chance and read it. The top of the front page this week is an extremely different story. And I don't know if I can't remember whether I've shared this with you, but a couple years ago, my mom and I was home, she was home. She calls me up and says, "You got to put on Channel 2 real fast." And what do I see there but Lonnie Bunch, the secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, talking about growing up as a boy in Belleville. I never knew this, but the secretary of the Smithsonian since 2019, Lonnie Bunch, spent the first 17 years of his life in Belleville, and it wasn't always an easy thing for him to do because in his neighborhood, he was the only black child, and in his school, he was the only black student. And he was born in 1952. He went to school number 5, and he graduated from Belleville High School in 1970. So throughout the 60s, he says, while Belleville is known for its diversity, it was not an easy time to be a young man in Belleville. But he says that everything he learned about Belleville, from Belleville, has stuck with him over the years, and it's helped him throughout his career. So he shares some incredible stories with me about growing up and facing discrimination and how he used it all to turn things around and ascend to the secretary of the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. He also is the founding director of the National African American Museum of History and Culture, and he was tasked by President George W. Bush to start the museum. He did, completed under President Barack Obama. He stayed on during the presidency of Donald Trump and is still there now under the presidency of Joe Biden, 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. He's been able to do what a lot of people couldn't over the years, and that's bring Republican and Democrats in D.C. together. And that's something he did when the museum opened in 2016. Just an extraordinary, extraordinary man. And I think what stunned me the most was that when he called me, we had an interview set for March 13th. I was expecting, his secretary or the communications director would connect us before we talked. Nope. I picked up the phone, introduced myself, and he starts off by saying, "Hey, it's Lonnie Bunch. How are you?" I was taken by surprise, but what an incredible experience that was. I really enjoyed getting to speak with him, and I hope you enjoy the story that I wrote that begins on page number 2 in this week's edition of The Observer. And, I want to tell you something. When I was a reporter down in South Florida for about a year, I was charged with doing celebrity interviews of celebrities who came to a place in Fort Pierce for concerts and performances and shows and things of that nature. And I got to meet and interview a lot of incredible celebrities, including Neil Sedaka, Judy Tenuta. I even interviewed Bill Cosby a couple of weeks before he got in trouble. Richard Simmons a couple of weeks before he disappeared. Remember that? But this was something special. I really enjoyed this, and I hope you do as much as I did. So check it out on pages 1, 2, and 3 of this week's edition of The Observer. My colleague Ron Lear has a story this week about a wonderful program open to Kearney High School juniors and seniors who have a desire to work in the medical field. They get a chance to take the 2-year program at the school and then do externships at Clara Moss Hospital, Medical Center rather, or at private doctor's offices or in nurses' offices at schools in the Kearney School District. So he has a complete rundown about that program. These kinds of things, I wish they were available when I was a kid. I don't know about you, but there was nothing like it. So kids who have a desire to maybe become a nurse or a doctor or work in the medical field as an X-ray technician or an EKG tech or anything like that, they get great hands-on experience when they're still 16, 17 years of age. Great program, model program in the Kearney School District, and I hope you'll check out the story that Ronnie wrote this week. Sports this week. Jason Bernstein's first week with us here at The Observer. Jason, welcome to The Observer. We are so glad to have you as we issue in a new era. Jim Haig retired last week, and of course he does have a story this week, and we thank him again for that. But Jason Bernstein begins his career with The Observer with an incredible story about the young man from St. Peter's College who is from Nutley. And this guy's getting a lot of attention. I'm not going to tell you who he is. I want you to read it. But if you haven't seen it yet, maybe you know that St. Peter's College is in the Sweet 16 in the NC2A tournament this year. They'll be playing in Philadelphia later this week. But this young man has been compared to a lot of great NBA greats, including Jim Spanarkel, by Jim Spanarkel, who grew up in Jersey City. So an incredible story about this young man who went to Bergen Catholic High School, lived in Nutley, and is now in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. You can't beat this stuff. And Jason also has profiles of the Belleville High School baseball team and the Lyndhurst High School softball team. 3 great features to start things off. Give him time. He's just getting settled in. If you're a coach or a parent and you have calls out to him and things of that nature, give him a chance to settle in. He'll get back to you. I'm sure he will, because he is phenomenal at what he does, and we are very fortunate, very, very fortunate to have him on board. Now, I'm just looking over. You see, I'm turning my head. I'm just looking at the screen to make sure that I have everything and gone over everything with you. We have 2 pages of classifieds, of course, as we do each and every week. So if you need a place to rent or if you're looking for a job, you can always find them in the classified department. In this week's edition of The Observer. Check those out. And this week's editorial, I made a goof last week. I really did. When I was at the parade and watching it, I was scouting for Pat O'Donnell, Jack Dunphy, and Anthony Coleman. Pat was the Grand Marshal, and Jack and Anthony were the Deputy Marshals. I didn't find them, and that's because I looked right past them. I literally looked right past them. I took a video, and I saw them in the video, and I never got a chance to shoot their pictures, and that's why their pictures weren't in the paper last week, because they marched right by me, and I didn't even realize it. I'm not making up any excuses, but I wanted to offer my apologies to the 3 of them. They waited 2 years, 2 long years, to get their day, and they finally did, and then they pick up the paper on Monday, and there's no picture of any of the 3 of them. So my apologies to the 3 of them. To make a mistake is human, and to err, of course, to forgive is divine. So that's the old saying, right? Forget what Pope said it, but it is truly something that I feel badly about, and I hope they forgive me for that, because it was a dumb move. It was a real bonehead move. I should have been paying closer attention. I don't know how the heck I mixed them, because they even stopped right in front of me, but I think I was looking further away. So that's going to do it for this week's edition of The Observer Live. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me as you do each and every week. Wow, I just said a lot. We'll be back 1 week from today. Oh, wait. Before I go, I want to explain something to all of you. Many of you have noted that when you go on Facebook these days and you see links that we post, that you're getting this warning that you can't go to our website or you have to click OK to do so. I want you to know that it is safe to do so. We have put on the highest level of security on the website. We have made our website hack-proof. Okay. Now, what it turns out is we spoke with a web security expert, and it turns out that the company we've been dealing with, I'm not going to name the company yet, eventually we will, is looked like they're doing some unethical things to their customers to get them to purchase high-end security that isn't necessarily needed. And what it turns out, basically, to put it mildly or bluntly, is that the company that we paid to keep us safe were the ones that were making us look like we weren't safe, but we really are. So we're going to be migrating our website to a new hosting company this week, and hopefully everything will be okay after that. But I wanted to assure any of you that if you click a link to theobserver.com and you are directed anywhere where it says this website has been identified as potentially harmful, we're not going to steal your financial details or your banking details or your personal information. The site has been fully cleaned and is in no way dangerous to visit. So I hope you will continue to visit theobserver.com, even though these warnings will pop up for the next few days. They should be gone by a week from today, regardless. We're hoping sooner once we make the migration over to the new hosting company. And once we do that, we'll tell you a little bit about this host company and encourage you never to use them if you need a website for your business, because they are horrendous. Let's just put it that way. I'll leave it at that for now. So from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, it's Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and I hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Have a good rest of your Monday, everybody. Take care.